Before he became known as Edward Longshanks, the iron-handed ruler who reshaped medieval Britain, Edward I of England was forged far from home, on the battlefields of the Crusades. Edward was born in 1239 as the eldest son of Henry III of England. From an early age, he was trained for war and leadership, but it was the chaos of the Eastern Mediterranean that would test him for the first time as a commander. By the late 13th century, the Crusader states were on the brink of collapse. Most of their territory had already fallen to the Mamluk Sultanate, led by the formidable Baybars. In 1270, Edward chose to join what would later be known as the Ninth Crusade, not a massive pan-European campaign, but a desperate effort to delay the inevitable fall of the Crusader presence in the Holy Land. Edward arrived in Acre in 1271, one of the last remaining Crusader strongholds. What he encountered was not the heroic warfare of legend, but a grim reality of raids, counter-raids, and constant pressure from Mamluk forces. Edward did not fight a single grand-pitched battle like those of earlier Crusades. Instead, he took part in a series of small-scale but brutal military operations. He led mounted raids against Muslim-held territory, attacked supply lines, and attempted to destabilize Mamluk control through aggressive skirmishing along the coast. These engagements were dangerous, unpredictable, and exhausting. Perfect training for a future medieval king. The Mamluks, however, were vastly superior in numbers and resources. Sultan Baybars avoided large confrontations, preferring ambushes and psychological warfare. Edward's forces achieved tactical successes, but strategically, the Crusaders were losing ground. The danger became personal in 1272, when Edward narrowly survived an assassination attempt in Acre. A would-be assassin wounded him with a poisoned dagger. According to contemporary accounts, Edward insisted on having the wound cut open and cleaned immediately, an act that may have saved his life. The incident cemented his reputation as fearless, stubborn, and unyielding. By this point, it was clear the crusade could not be won. Edward negotiated a 10-year truce with the Mamluks and prepared to return to Europe. But fate intervened before he could reach home. In November 1272, while Edward was still traveling through Sicily, news arrived that Henry III was dead. What followed was unprecedented. Edward was thousands of kilometers away, no coronation, no royal presence, no immediate return. Yet England did not descend into chaos. Instead, the English nobility immediately proclaimed Edward king. This marked a critical moment in English constitutional history. The crown passed instantly without ceremony, establishing the principle that the monarchy never dies, only the individual ruler does. Edward did not rush back. Secure in his authority, he continued his journey deliberately, reinforcing alliances and asserting his legitimacy abroad. When he finally returned to England in 1274, he was crowned King Edward I at Westminster. The man who took the throne was no longer merely a prince. He was a veteran of foreign war, hardened by crusading violence, assassination attempts, and failure. These experiences shaped his reign. Edward would go on to conquer Wales, wage brutal wars in Scotland, reform English law, and centralize royal authority with unmatched determination. His time in the Holy Land did not win territory, but it forged a king. From the skirmishes outside Acre to the quiet proclamation of kingship in his absence, Edward Longshanks' rise was shaped by war, patience, and an unshakable belief in royal power. The Crusader returned, not as a hero of the East, but as a ruler ready to dominate the British Isles.